Let there be light, and there was light. Okay, so we've been working on the characteristics of the gods, the 14 gods of Genesis. Of course, we haven't done all of the 14 gods, but we have covered quite a few. And amazing characteristics have really showed up. Of course, many have surprised me as well. So we have looked at the said God. I think I did this. The said God was perhaps one of the first that I did. We have done the saw God. We have done formed, the God who formed, and the God who breathed, the God who created. We've done, and the God who moved. Okay, so we are yet to do the God who planted, and the God who we have done moved, the God who made, I think we have done, and the God who set. Okay, so we've got to do the God who set, ended, and planted. I'm not sure, and divided, of course, yes. So, therefore, and we may have to go over these again. But I want to take the opportunity now to share my vision, my dream with you, because as I say, I'm the 15th of May. That's my birth date. My birth date, because my birthday is every Friday. Okay, I was born on a Friday. All right. So, it inspired me, or some people inspired me, of course, listening to their stories, because I was very astounded to see the similarities of the dreams were, apart from those who had disastrous content in their dreams, what we call disastrous anyway, though I have had similar, but yes, so I've had my neighbor, of course, with my neighbor. I was going to almost disclose his name, but I'd rather not right now. But he reminds me, he shares one of the disciples' names. And he's very good at interpreting dreams as well. So on second opinion of what I felt the dreams had been conveying, he helped me shed more light on those contents as well. So just to, it was on the 18th, so my birthday being the 15th, so this 3 days after my birthday, which the number 3 is the magic number, had showed up to be really wonderful. So this dream was really wonderful. I think it was. Okay, so there it goes, and I may not give all the details because there were dreams on top of dreams, but that day it was just quite a lot. And so it starts off with, well, from where I remember, I'm walking through a tunnel. Of course, it's an open tunnel, if that makes sense. There is nothing over my head but the sky, but I'm going through this neatly cut hedges on both sides, and it's soil. It's the ground, and the ground is on either sides of both sides of my, they're on both sides, left and right. And they're about maybe 2 meters in height, I would say. So this is really like towering me, but I'm going through, and it perhaps is about 3 feet or so wide, if that much, perhaps not on second thought. But I'm very conscious about feeling being concerned about walking through this tunnel, and because I don't know how long it is, but I am very conscious that I need to just trust that it may not be an everlasting long length tunnel, that I'll be all right, and just trust I'll be all right. And just to as soon as I made this conscious decision to go through, and I wasn't really fearful. I was just I was concerned not to be fearful. That was one thing, and just to trust. And so I went through this tunnel, and it really wasn't as long, it wasn't long at all. And as soon as everything seemed like, as they say, Uranus is going to do, it just seemed very quickly that I found myself in this house where family or friends are, and there were three people, well, including a child. And so the child, of course, I they like family or friends, and I greet the child, and I'm holding the child and playing with it, and I put the child on the floor, but the child is dancing in a sort of Euro, uh, I would say in a sort of semi-sexy way, neurotic, which I wasn't too pleased with. But then I understood. I made a conscious decision to sort of just, I said neurotic, I think I meant it. Anyway, I made a decision to sort of accept that the child was mimicking what it had learned. And so it was like doing a belly dance on the floor, if that made any sense, dancing on its belly. So its belly was really doing like a worm sort of thing. And I looked at the child and just shook my head, and I thought, oh well, you know. And basically try not to make any judgments. But that in the waking life would have been my kind of experience on the island of St. Lucia, where certain parts of the children are dancing, all whining, we could say, at a very young age. You see them dancing in ways that in the waking life that I feel it's a little bit too much for a child. But in the dream state, I was not making any judgments anymore. It's like I just accepted that it was what it was. Aha. There is a part of the dream that I am wondering whether it happened before I went through the tunnel or whether it was after I went through the tunnel. I'm not quite sure, but let's keep this part. Let's go back to what I was saying. And towards leaving, of course, I conversed with the two females. There would be two females and the child. I'm not sure whether it was a male or female, but the child is the one. When I leave the house, I called to the child and gave the child 3 golden coins. So 3 pounds, 3 pounds. When I say golden coins, sterling, English money. So I gave the child 3 pounds, 3 coins, and while the child says, I was about to leave, he or she says, wait, and let me give you some. You've given me too much, or something to that effect. And by the way, I had I had paid £8 altogether. So I had a £5 note and 3 coins. So that would be the number 8 we are talking about. We are in the 8th phase. So in the dream, I have £8 and I give the child the £3, and the child calls me back, and I can see that the coins have turned to copper, like what it seemed like a child should have, and the child gave me loads of silver coins. Wow, I could feel the chills. So the child gave me silver coins. Now silver here, as we interpreted the dream, silver is like the denoting purity. Of course, in biblical forms as well, you go through the fire 7 times, and so 7 times through the fire. That's where you have the silver. Well, silver, however it is termed in the scriptures. So we have gone through the 7th cycle. The 7,000-year cycle has ended. So here the child now gave me, it may have been, who knows, 7 coins as well, but there were as many silver coins. And I thought, wow, so I came out, and this is this is one part of the dream. So I came out, it's as if I had been paid for coming out of all this, or not making judgment of what of the child. It's just accepting the child implicitly. I wondered whether the child afterwards was even part of myself. However, what I did learn is that it seemed a very good part of the dream, saying, well, it's saying like you have gone through the seventh cycle, you have made it. You have gone through the fire. You have now become pure like silver. I felt that was a very good dream. Very good indeed. Now, in that dream, what I was saying was either before I went through the tunnel, or it could have been after I went through the tunnel. But it feels like this happened before I went through the tunnel. So, and it would be evening time. Not dark as such, but dark enough to contrast the moonlight. I think it would be the moonlight or the sunlight, and I'm more inclined to believe it was the moonlight. But the light was just bright enough that it caught my attention, and there I was. Walking down the street. Now, what was funny is that part of my body, in fact, it's like I was dressed quite sexily, you could say, but I was dressed in calico. I don't know if you know the fabric calico, it's cotton. This is what we made toiles with in the fashion industry. So I had this calico wrapped around my breast as if it was a bodice. And then, of course, in fact, I made a sketch of it. If you call this a sketch, that was not my strongest point. Everything else was my strongest point, but you'd be able to see. So I had the calico wrapped around here to my bodice, so here I was with the calico. Okay, that would be my, and there I had the bottom bit wrapped around. It was pretty short, very short, so perhaps I have this a little bit too long. Okay, and yes, because while so there was the light, the sunlight. I was looking up to the light, and there I had my hand, in fact, one of my hand, before raising my hand, I was concerned that my skirt or my buttocks was not showing for the oncoming cars that was behind me. There were cars behind me. I think they were tooting or keeping noise or something. But so it would be before going to the tunnel. And I could not, or decided I should not ignore the light. And so I raised my hands. And expressed such joy to the lights. I raised my hands and I danced and I twirled around, and I really said, no, I've got to give you thanks. I've got to just dance to the light. That was my thing. I've just got to dance to the light. And I was in the street, but I was saying this, and it was a sort of with reverence and with such joy. And I thought, no, I don't care who sees me. I don't care what anyone thinks. I just have to dance to the light. And my only concern was when I raised my hands up that my buttocks was not showing too much. And after a while, I didn't care so much anyway. I danced to the light. That was really, really a wonderful dream. So basically, there was the silver coins and acknowledging the light. I think this was very clear indication or Wow. It was very clear about um, the transition into the fifth dimension. That is what it is. It's like the light welcomed me, and it was waiting to be recognized, and it's as if by recognizing it, the light, I recognize myself. Um, Really wonderful. I recognize Mother Eve. Um, it's just a beautiful thing. There we were talking about the word created equals 11, the word light equals 11. This is where in the scriptures, yeah, the light of the earth. And so the light and myself, by dancing in the light, it's like we are one. And I do know now, even before this, that the light we see, we are the light that has been projected out. So the sun is the mass of that light is that we have projected out of ourselves to give us. It's like there has been a consensus, there have been an agreement that we should all project our attention in a certain area where the light come, it forms that mass, and this is what we call sun. That's what is really being revealed even now. It's so but I have seen, because I have studied the light in my eyes that much, to see that the formation and even that which seem like sparks, like everything I see, when I see the light, I can see it's a reflection of what's in my okay, in my eye. Okay, and what we see is really the how the state of ourselves in essence. So that was I believe really a beautiful beautiful dream. So I think I'll just stick this to the other part of that dream. Was that okay? So I was in a house which seemed like, I don't know if it seemed like my house, or I lived in that house anyway. But there were other people who lived in that house too. And so they would be like, but there were two or three females. I don't know, they're all females somehow. Okay. And so there was like a house doctor who was upstairs in that house. So the house had three floors. Um, floors. Okay. And so being on the second floor, I could see the stairs going up to the top floor, where I knew I could not really see the house doctor, who was a female, but I could see her, if that makes sense. I knew she was there, and I spoke with her, but I could see her but didn't see her at that stage. And what I knew she was doing was bringing out on the staircase was loads of bottles of oil. They were like, I think, sunflower oil, olive oil. They were just lots of oil bottles, and plastic bottles, and they were some were filled, some were halfway, a few, about four, were empty. 3 or 4 were empty. I would think it's 4 bottles were empty. And there were about maybe 12 bottles with oil. And they all were on the right side of the stairway, on the stairway. And so I said, oh, I didn't know there was that much oil in there, meaning wherever it was. But the oil was put there with the intention, of course, that after the cleaning, whatever it was, but the cleaning was done in the absence of the 2 women or 2 or 3 women who lived there. So basically, it's as if it was decluttering had to be done, but it was done in their absence, and it was meant to be sort of timely, so they would just come and find that it was done, and they would have no choice than to accept it was done. And so I was also the watch person, to ensure that when they come in, I could alert the house doctor that they're there. And as it happened, they came in with bags of shopping, and I said, oh, they're here now. So it would be 2 or 3 women. It still feels like 2, it still feels like 3. Like maybe it would be like a mother and 2 daughters. Okay, mother and 2 daughters. And I said, they're here now. And I tried to entertain them in conversation to allow, and I says, come, they're here. So I now take the house doctor and in fact looking for which room I'm going to actually hide her in. Then I realized there are 4 rooms. At that point, I am on the 2nd floor, and I am looking for a room to hide her in, and then realizing that the rooms are the ladies' bedrooms. So their bedrooms are on the 2nd floor, and I'm not quite sure which of the room is vacant or safe enough to hide her in. So anyway, I hide her in what seems like a bathroom, and opening the door is like daylight. And in that, it seemed like it's a huge house. It's a huge house. And then I shove her into this room, which then it's not like a hut, but it's like a door. And for some reason, how do I know? But I say, I heard she died. Did I hear this through one of the ladies? It seemed like I heard this through one of the ladies telepathically, not verbally. And yet they are not meant to know about her, but I know she died. So there was the cleaning up, the cleaning up. It's done. The oil, it's like the excess oil was put aside. It was a lot of oil. Oil, of course, Christ gave many examples about oil and the virgins with the lamps, and those who had oil and those who didn't. Oil, of course, is for anointing. It's purity. So and the oil, of course, look pure and rich. Well, what else does oil look like? But it was pure, it was clear, and it was on a white background as well. So while I was conversing, of course, still conversing with the daughters, one in particular, I was saying, well, how about we paint? You could paint her. So really trying to encourage her to give the whole place a facelift. And that was the word I used. You could give it a facelift, and she was in agreement with that. And while I was saying that, I could see on the walls, it was turquoise. It was turquoise color, all like the ocean. And she said, well, yes, I could just use the same color again. And I said, well, yes, it would just give, make it look fresher. And having said that, while I said that, I could see the shades of blue and turquoise was in unison with the ocean, because the place became like an open space and I could see the depth of the ocean. So the house was on the waters. Basically, the house was on the waters or surrounded by the ocean, which was very deep blue sea. And the wave was not, it wasn't just still, there were waves, but it wasn't threatening. And I could see the turquoise, blue and turquoise, and I made the statement in the vision. I says, oh, but it matches the ocean perfectly. So we are talking, a lot of people were talking about waters and the ocean and that sort of thing in the content of their visions. And that's what really got me thinking. Of course, I'm looking at the blue right here as well now, and the blue and turquoise. And I said, well, yes. But I felt that that was really, according to my friend who interprets the dream so well, then he said, actually, the woman who was cleaning, the house doctor, was myself. So the shadow self, my shadow self, I was observing myself cleaning and doing that final detox. And actually the shadow self, or the part of me that was through, that I said but she died, was that I hid away from the others. Well, I worked that one out. I said that's my shadow self. And that's the part that so basically I was in three parts of the dream. I was the one doing the final detox. I say detox, decluttering. I was the observer, and I was also, well, yeah, that's two. I was saying three, but I acted three main parts right there. Yes, and of course the one talking with the other female about the turquoise. Now turquoise is healing. It's the color of healing. So there I had a dream with silver, which is purity, and that going through the fire 7 times, which coincide with the 7,000-year cycle that we have done. And now we are moving into a 7-year cycle with Uranus in the second house of the zodiac sign, which is my house, Taurus, my house. As if it's only my house, and as if I'm the only Taurian. Okay, but basically, I felt that that is coinciding so well, because as I say, I was preparing so much and was very excited about this birthday, of course, and it fell as well on a number 13, having done that day's numerical value, and of course 1 + 3 is 4, so there was a setting. So an act or a stage, you could say, and I was preparing mentally, spiritually, and physically for that day, and of course for every day to come. But in this vision, this dream, I'm believing that it was and it's all of those the waters which we are talking about, Mother Eve. So Mother Eve's presence was so real. Mother Eve's presence was all around me in that space, having the sea. We're talking about the sea. And I was listening to someone, oh, it's what's his name, seven, oh, he does a video on inner standing. So if you come across 7 bar or barman, oh, I'm sure it's going to come afterwards. Okay, or Savan, I think the name is, and which would be like Eve, like 7, and saying that we come from the ocean. And I am believing, of course, that that is evident in all the presentations I've been doing to show that Mother Eve is the waters from that we read about in Genesis of chapter 1 verse 2. So this is Mother Eve right here, and talking about we are 90% water. This is Mother Eve. Now I'm quoting, men are 90% water and female 100% water, so 10% more than men. Now, I felt as well that there was a parallel, not parallel, it's a correlation with the numbers of circles that we have. Now, I think, of course, if we count very well, perhaps women have in our function, we could say perhaps we have 10 circles, one more than men. So that would coincide with the 100 when we check our genital function. So I would say that men have nine circles. So we have the 7 circles, and women, I say 3, if we, depending how we choose to count. But I'm saying perhaps that's how it correlates, that we are 100% water and men are 90. Okay, so that is just a thought that came to mind, which would be good to explore more on. But back to the vision, is that I felt it was really expressing the part of myself that was that, not the part, or it's like saying you are healed, you are whole. And the waters, of course, the waves were there, but I wasn't threatened. So I had gone through the tunnel in that dream, and it almost seemed like come to think of it, like when you dig a grave, it almost seemed like it. But one that I walked in, and then in no time I was like on the edge of it, and there I was in a house, and it was okay. But there I met with a child who gave me those coins, silver coins. Later on, about oil and water. So there I am with the waters, the oil, and the coins. That's really symbolic, very symbolic, I would say, very significant. And it felt, I mean, and the light as well. So the light, the coins, the waters, and of course the color turquoise. So they were key things that were presented to me on the 18th of the 18th of May 2018. So 3 days after my birthday. So they seemed like perfect birthday gifts that were given to me. And having said that, as I said that I said this before on one of my presentations. So the 15th of May was my birthday, which I decided to spend all by myself. I really wanted to have a spiritual day. It felt the thing to do, and I invited the angels to be like my godparents, or the midwife, or whatever it was, that I would be nursed and cared for by the spiritual beings. So I really took that path to spend my birthday. And of course I prayed my intentions and my wishes, and of course the cleansing of my mind, because and the gift that I wanted, of course, the gift of wisdom, which is still the gift that I have prayed for. It's the gift that I continue to. Of course, I did mention other things, and I think that it is clear that I did that with the projects that I want to see manifest, and I have this heartfelt project that I really want to work and to, because it means a lot to me to be able to share with others. So I did, of course, express all this to the universe, the gods, the goddesses, and so on. And I believe that having now going through the dreams again, that I have been given those tokens of blessings. They're just lovely, lovely. I thought I would share that with you. And it'd be nice, of course, if you have similar dreams or anything. Of course, I have lots more dreams, but I won't go into it right now. But I do get them very frequently, and they are one of the things I will mention here, though, just like going through the tunnel, where I was out of the tunnel in no time. That's what I notice has been happening. It's like I could want to be at a long distance, and I just think it, and zoop, I am there, you know. Yes, I'm like rocket side, you know, taking off like a rocket in my dreams, and I just know, yes, it's happening. So anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing. And of course, please leave your comments, your likes, and it'd be wonderful to hear your story too. I would love to read your story. I know I'm not on my own on this. Okay, thank you. And spill over with love.